Hey everyone, it's Kathy here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make this cute little Surf Shack treat box. At this time of year, I kind of get in a tropical crafting mood, and I think it helps with the post-holiday winter blues. So this was super fun to make. I based the whole Surf Shack on the Stay Cool stamp set, and the little critters fit just perfect on this little box. So I'll kind of show you here the sides. We got another little cute little penguin here on the back. Another side, and then on the inside of the box I've used some pattern papers here just to kind of jazz it up. So I'll take you through all the steps on how to create this, and I hope you'll join me, so let's get to it. Okay, so before we start this project, I'm going to put a little disclaimer out there that this is not difficult to make, but there is a lot of die cutting that goes into this. So just have fun with it, enjoy the process. I think it would make a really fun project for a cold winter weekend, and if you are enjoying summer right now in the southern hemisphere, then this is perfectly timely for you. So I'm going to talk about the cardstock that we are going to use. So you can make your Surf Shack whatever colors you want. What you'll need for the box itself and then the thatch roof are 3 sheets of cardstock. I'm using craft cardstock here, and 8.5 by 11 is fine. Then you'll need a piece for the wood planking, and I'm using this light gray textured cardstock for that. You're going to need about a half a sheet of cardstock for the little door, probably even a little bit less. I'm using a teal color for that. And I've got again, about a half a sheet of a yellow cardstock that I've used for the little window frames. And then I have a kind of a pinkish coral cardstock here. And again, probably about a half a sheet. It's for the little shutters on the windows. So, we're going to be using several La La Land Crafts dies today, and I have all of the products that I've used in this listed below in the info section of this video. And first up, we're going to be using dies in kind of unexpected ways. I love doing that, and it gets more use from your dies than maybe what they're originally intended for. So first we're going to be using the Suitcase Box Die. And we are going to die cut 2 of the suitcase boxes here from the craft cardstock. Now, as I go through this tutorial, I have already die cut all of my pieces just to save time, because I didn't want to have you sitting through a 5-hour video here. But so I have 2 of the suitcase die cuts here, and I'm going to take scissors, and we are going to cut both of these die cuts on one side. We're going to cut the flaps off of one side, right along the little score line here that the die creates. I'm going to do that again for the second one. And this little Suitcase Box die makes it just really easy to make the base of this box. Alright, so we have 2 of them. We're going to set one aside here, and we're going to work on this one first. So we are going to create a hinge for our thatch roof to attach. So I'm going to pull out a scoreboard here, and you're going to cut a piece of craft cardstock for this hinge piece. And this piece is 3 1/8 by 3 1/2. And on the 3 1/8 inch side, we are going to score this at 7/8 of an inch. Okay, we are going to fold one of these suitcase die cuts on the score lines. Okay, I am using a pattern paper here. This is the from the Endless Summer paper pack, and I've got a hibiscus pattern here and then this pattern. This is optional. I just wanted to kind of jazz up the inside of the gift box. So the two pieces here that I have, you'll need to cut at 2 inches by 3 1/4. And then I've got this smaller piece that's 5/8 of an inch by 3 1/2 inches. We are going to glue one of these to our hinge piece here that we've cut. So I'm using a liquid adhesive. It's not usually one that I use all the time. This is a Scotch brand. I usually use the Zig glue pens, but mine ran out. So I've been using this one here lately, and it works pretty good. It's nice and strong, but it still gives you some ability to position your paper. So you can move it just a little bit before it really sets up. But it is a little messy, so you might see me struggle with it on my fingers. Alright, we are going to take this piece, and on our large section of the hinge piece, we're just going to glue it centered on this large section. So right in the center of that. Then we're going to take our 5/8 inch wide piece here and put some glue on this. And we're going to adhere this to the small section of our hinge piece, and we're going to line it up with the edges on the left and right, and then center it top and bottom here on this section. Now we're going to turn this piece over, and on this large section on the back, we're going to apply some glue here. We're going to take one of our suitcase die cuts, and we're going to glue this into this large portion of this die cut. So line it up right along your score lines. Okay. Now we're going to take our second die cut here, and we're going to go ahead and fold this one on the score lines. And we're going to take our other piece of pattern paper and put some glue here on the back. And we're going to glue this centered on this large section here, just like we did on the hinge piece. Alright, now we're going to fold these flaps and get this more into a box-like shape. So I'm going to turn this over to the back, and I'm going to apply adhesive to the small flaps on both sides. Turn it back over here, and we're going to glue them to the inside. Just like so. You can use whatever adhesive you like. Again, if you want to use a tape adhesive or score tape, that's fine. I do find that this liquid adhesive is fine once we get this all put together. I just have to kind of press it on there to get it to hold good. Okay, we're going to do the same on our other piece. Turn this over to the back. Put a little glue here on these small flaps. And put them to the inside. Now we're going to cut a piece of cardstock 2 inches by 3.5 inches. This is a little base that we're going to glue to the bottom of our boxes. So on this piece, I'm going to apply glue here on 1/2 of it. I'm going to turn over, it doesn't matter which one, turn it over to the bottom and glue this piece right along the edges of this box-like shape here. We can turn this over. Now we're going to apply glue on this side of that cardstock piece. We're going to take our second box shape here and we're going to glue it to that cardstock piece. And you can turn it over and just line it up the edge of the cardstock right along the edge of that box. Don't worry if there's a little spacing in between these because we are going to add some sides to this and it firms everything up. Now we're going to cut another piece of pattern paper, and this one is 1 3/4 by 3 1/4. We're going to put some glue here on the back. And we're going to glue this to the bottom of the box on the inside. So we're going to center it. And this is where that liquid adhesive kind of comes in handy, because if you don't get it in there just right the first time, you can kind of move it around a little bit. Okay. We're going to set this aside right now and we're going to work on the 2 sides of this box. Okay, for the sides of the Surf Shack, we are going to be using a couple of dies. The sides are made from this stitch tag die, the smallest die from this set. And it fits perfectly on the sides of that. And for the wood planks, we're going to use the Fireplace Die. And we're going to use the little wood plank die from that. So you're going to need to cut 2 pieces of cardstock, 2 1/4 by 3 1/4, and then you're going to die cut 10 wood planks, and I've die cut it from that light gray textured cardstock, and we are going to glue 5 wood planks to each of these pieces. So I'm just going to use this liquid adhesive again. This is where it might get messy, so bear with me. And you'll just line up on one side of this cardstock piece, and we're just going to keep gluing these down. Okay, now we're going to use this small tag die, and we're going to place it cutting edge down on one of these pieces and line it up so that you're straight on the bottom here, so that your wood planks are straight. And then I'm going to tape this die in place, and I just use blue painter's tape. You can use washi tape. And then we're going to die cut this, and this also gives us a pre-cut hole here at the top so that we can tie our little handle on. So you may need a shim when you die cut this. I usually use either a couple pieces of cardstock under the bottom plate, and because it is a thicker layer. So I'm going to go die cut both of these pieces the same way. Okay, so I've got both of my die cuts here. We're going to put some glue here on the back of one of them. And we're going to glue this to one side. We'll just line it up on the left and right sides and on the bottom. And you don't have to put glue all the way up on that. Just right below the die cut hole there is fine. Okay, now we're going to do the same for the other side. Just going to take that glue right up about that high. And we're going to glue this to the other side. Now we're going to die cut this small tag again from pattern paper 2 times, and I've used another piece from the Endless Summer paper pack. And we're going to take scissors and cut right along the stitched line on this die cut. Okay, we're going to turn these over to the back and apply some glue. And we're going to glue this to the inside of one side here, and then repeat it again on the other side. So the easiest way to do it is to line up the die cut hole, and then just try to get it centered in there. And then we'll do the same for the other side. Okay, now we're going to make the lid, the roof piece that goes over the top. So we're going to cut another piece of cardstock, and this piece is 3 3/4 by 4 inches. On the 3 3/4 inch side, we're going to score a line at 1 3/8, and then at 2 3/8. Now we're going to cut 2 pieces of pattern paper. The first one is 3/4 by 3 1/2, and the second one is 1 1/8 by 3 1/2. We're going to glue these to the inside of our roof piece. So we'll start with the 3/4 inch wide piece. Put some glue on the back. And we're going to center this on this middle section here in between the score lines, and centered left and right. we'll take our second piece here, put some glue on the back. And we're going to center this on the section above that. So centered between the score line and the edge of the cardstock, and then centered left and right. Now we're ready to attach this roof piece to the box. So first we're going to want to score or fold this on the score lines. Try to get a good fold going there. Okay, take the box in on this hinge piece, fold that. We're going to, on the back side of this hinge piece, right along here, we're going to apply score tape. You're going to want a nice strong adhesive for this part. Okay, I'm going to remove the tape liners here. There we go. We're going to place that roof piece here with that empty bottom section. We're going to turn this over, and we're going to put that hinge piece, we're going to adhere it onto this cardstock piece. You'll line up the edge of that hinge piece just below the score line. You want this piece to be able to still fold. So I'm right below that score line, and just press that down. Okay, and then you have your roof piece that folds over your little box. Okay, so now we are going to add the wood planking to the other long sides here of the box. Okay, so for the wood planking, you are going to use that same wood plank die from the Fireplace Die, and you're going to die cut it 18 times. We need 9 pieces for each side, front and back. So we'll start on this front side first, and I'll get it started here, and then I'm going to end up speeding this up a little bit because it does take a little time and I don't want you to get bored here, but you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So for the first piece, we are going to glue it even with this top up here, and we're going to overlap the side of the box by about half of the wood plank. That's just because, and we need to get this on there straight, just so that it's kind of even on both sides. If we were to start even with the side of the box, we're going to end up with a partially cut wood plank on the other side. So line it up, get it on there. Okay, and then we're going to take scissors and we're going to cut this excess off the bottom first, just right along the edge of the box, cut straight across, and then cut along the side here, even with that edge of the box. Okay. You don't have to be too worried about how even it is along the bottom, because we're going to put some little sand pieces along there. Alright, then for the next one, you'll just do the same thing. You're going to come right along the side of the first piece. We're going to line it up here at the top. Get it right next to the first. And then we'll turn it, and we're going to cut off the excess here at the bottom. Okay, and then I'm going to continue along this side. Okay, that is our first side, and we're going to do the same on the back side. I'll start you off here again. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to place the first one. I'm just going to slide it up just underneath that roof piece. I'm going to overlap it about halfway again. Make sure we're straight. And we'll cut it off at the bottom and the side again. This one you might have to get, I'll start it down here. Make sure you don't cut your little roof piece here. It'll be hidden under the roof anyway, so. There we go. Just a little fussy right there. There. Okay, and then I'm going to continue along just like it did on the first side. Okay, so I've got all of the wood planks here on both the front and the back of the surf shack, and now here comes the really fun part. We're going to work on the thatch roof. Before we do that, we're going to add a little bit of extra weight to the top and this front section just to help, once we get all of our pieces on there, it'll close flatter to the box. So we're going to cut 2 pieces of cardstock, 1 inch by 4 inches. We're going to glue these 2 pieces together. Just make a double layer here. Okay, we're going to put some glue on the back of one side. And we're going to glue this to the top of the roof, just right along where those score lines are. Okay, we're going to add an extra section to the front part of the roof line. So this piece is 1 3/8 by 4 inches. Put some glue here on the back. And we'll just glue that right along the bottom edge. Okay, so this is the point where you're going to want to put your favorite music on or your favorite movie, and we're going to get to die cutting. So we are going to use the Grass Patches die. We're going to use all 3 of these dies. And for the largest, you're going to die cut 20 of these from craft cardstock. For the middle size, the medium size piece, you're going to die cut 10 of these. And then for the smallest, you're going to die cut 14 of these. And I have already done mine. So I'm going to start with the 20 large die cut grass pieces here. I'm going to switch to a different glue because that other one is really messy. And we don't need as much. So we're going to start, got a little Gina K glue here. Hold on. Okay, so starting with a large piece here, I'm going to put a little liquid adhesive on, not on the little grass part there, just on the very bottom of it. And I'm going to turn it this way so you can see it a little better. I'm going to start from the bottom of this front part of the roof, and I'm going to overlap the side here on the left with just a little bit of that grass, and then we're going to overlap the bottom so that your bottom of it here is the part that's glued along the bottom of this lip. We'll grab a second one. I'm going to show you how I'm doing the first 2 layers, and then we're going to speed it up for you. Okay, so we're going to overlap the first one, and I'm going to come over not quite to the center of this die cut piece. It's probably overlapping about 1/3 of that one. You can see my glue isn't quite firmed up yet. Okay, we'll use a 3rd one here, and we're just going to keep overlapping, again by about 1/3. And then the last one, we're going to make sure that we have about the same amount overlapping the side on the right. And that looks about right. Okay, I hope you can see that. So I'm going to show you now the second layer, and you will work your way all the way up to this top part. So for this one, we're going to line it up with the bottom one and overlap the little grassy pieces here over the top of the first one. And since you already have these down, you're going to use that kind of the longest center point and just line them up as you go. So this one right above the bottom one, lined up in the center, and press it down. And I'll show you really quick here. It makes kind of a really cool pattern there where you get it all done. And you're going to have 5 layers of these. So there are 4 across, and then there's 5 levels of them. So I'll finish up the second one and then play a little music and speed this up for you. Okay, and then it's 3 more layers up to the top there. Okay, so I have the whole first side done here. You're going to die cut that same large die 20 times again, and we're going to repeat it on the back side of the roof. Okay, so I have the back side of the roof all done here, and there's the front. I misspoke at the beginning of this video, so I hope you caught the correction that I put up there. You are going to need 4 pieces of craft cardstock for this, not 3. I didn't have the second 20 die cuts here done when I started filming this, so that's why the break, and I've finished that up, and now we're going to do the top part of the roof. So we do need 10 of the medium size pieces here, and I'm going to put a little glue on it just like the other ones. And we're going to start, this is the front of my lid, doesn't really matter, but we're going to overlap the side here a little bit again, and overlap the front part here past the score line. And then we will work our way along here. Same way, you're just going to overlap slightly. There's a little bit of a bend there in the die cut, and I'm kind of lining it up where there's a bend there and there's a bend on the other one. Again, it probably overlaps about a third. And we will work our way along here. Our last one on this side, place it where it's slightly overlapping this side. Okay, I'm going to turn this around and we're going to do the same thing on this edge. Okay, now we have 14 of the smallest grass patches die cuts here, and put some glue here on the back, and we're going to start on one side, and we want 2 of them back to back to be just about in the middle. So again, I'm going to overlap the side just a little bit. Actually, where that die cut starts to turn, you'll want to line it up with the edge of the roof line here. And what we can do is, to keep everything in line, we're going to take a second one and we're going to put it right up against the first. You'll see there's a little notch here, and that's going to allow our handle to come up between them. And we'll overlap the first one there just slightly. Okay, and that is our thatched roof. And if you want, you can kind of bend those down a little bit at the top if you don't like them poking out so much. And we are done with that. So next up, we are going to add the handle to this. So I am using a jute cording. It's about 1/8 inch thick. It actually is a Simplicity cording, and I think I bought this at Joann's. So any kind, if you want to use ribbon, whatever you like. We're going to open this up, and I'm going to feed it through one side here, and I'm going to tie a knot. You want to use something that's a little bit on the thicker side so that the knot won't pull through the hole in the tag. So we're good there. And now on this side, when we bring it up around, you're going to want to figure out how much you want there of a handle. So I'm going to put it through here. It gets a little tricky on this side. I'll try to show you as best I can, but you're going to do another knot on this side. I may need to use a tool or something here to get this in here. Ribbon would probably be a lot easier, but I thought the cording looked cute with the Surf Shack, so. Alright, I think I've got that. And I want to check and see that I've got enough handle there. And I do. So, and then you can trim off the ends of that on the inside if you like. Once you've got it where you want it. Just a little bit. Okay. And there we go. We have our handle. And you can see how that little notched area in the roof line allows the handle to, you can pick up the box. Okay, so now we are going to decorate the outside. I'll show you how I did the doors and windows next. Okay, for the door, first you'll need to cut a piece of white cardstock, 1.5 by 3.5 inches. And we are going to glue some die cut pieces to this to make like a wood panel door. And we are going to use this die from the Fireplace Die set. And you're going to die cut the teal cardstock, or whatever color you want the door, 6 times. And we're going to glue these pieces to that white cardstock piece. And this is pretty much how we did it with the wood planks on the outside. I'm just going to line it up with one edge of this cardstock piece. And just keep gluing them side by side. Okay, now we are going to die cut this piece with this rectangle from the Suitcase Box Die. Okay, and it's going to give us a perfect size here for our die. So we're going to turn it cutting edge down. I'm going to place it about just in the center of this piece. And again, make sure that your little pieces here are vertical, straight up and down. I'm going to use a little bit of washi tape here. And I'm almost to the edge of that last wood plank on this side. Because our door is going to be 1 inch wide. I'm going to show you a fun technique here. Alright, we are going to die cut this piece. Okay, so I have that die cut. Grab my die here again. And now I'm going to place the die cutting edge down again, and we want this door to be about 1 inch wide. So measuring from the left side, I'm going to come just about again to the edge. It doesn't have to be exact, just as close as you can get it to the 1 inch. And what we're going to want to do here actually is just turn it cutting edge up, and we're going to line up our die cut piece with the edges of that die. I'm going to see. Yeah, it's about 1 inch. That's close enough. So here and here you want to line up your edges, and we're going to tape this to the die just to keep it from moving around. And let me show you here when I turn this over. Alright, so I am lined up on this cutting edge and this cutting edge, as you can see, and I'm going to run that back through the die cutting machine. Okay, and here we have that little die cut door, and it's got the stitching all around the edges here, and that is an idea for you if you have other rectangle dies that you need to You want to make maybe a little bit smaller, but you still want to have all the stitched edging around it. So I'm going to create a little door frame now for the door. And I have used this little piece from the Fireplace Die again, and I've die cut yellow cardstock 3 times. And I'm going to place a little bit of glue along one edge of this door. I'm going to glue it to one of these yellow pieces here, and I'm going to overlap it by about half, so just a thin little border along this side of the door. And then we're going to turn it over again and place some glue on the other side. And we'll glue it to another yellow die cut piece here. And glue about halfway, so we just have a little thin frame on the sides. Then we're going to take our third piece, and I'm going to place a little bit of glue at the top on these 2 pieces, and I'm going to glue the third piece right along the top of the door. Okay, we'll take some scissors and turn it over, and we'll cut off the excess. Right there. Right there, and right there. Okay, now we have our cute little frame door. So I want to add a doorknob to that. So I'm just going to get a little foam mat here, and I'm going to use a piercing tool. I'm going to use a brad for the doorknob, and I want my doorknob to be right about there. It's about maybe 1/4 of an inch from the edge of that yellow cardstock. And I'm going to use an antique bronze, whatever color small brad you have that you want to use. And we'll insert it into that little hole I pierced and then open it up on the back. Always a nail breaker here. Okay. Alright, and there is our door. So we can put some adhesive on the back. I'm going to use some score tape for this. I'll take these liners off. Okay, and we're ready to put it on there. So this is the front with our lid that opens. I'm going to center my door. If you only want one window on here, you know, however you want it. And just glue it even with the bottom there. Try to get it straight. And there we go. Okay, let's make some windows now. Okay, so my surf shack has 6 windows, 2 on the front, 2 on the back, 1 on each side. So I have already made 5 of them, and I'll try to get you a close up there. So they have little shutters on them, little window frame, and I'm going to show you how to make these. So I've used that die again from the Fireplace Die. You're going to need, for each window here, you're going to need 2 strips from the yellow. And then from the Suitcase Box Die, I've used this die, and you're going to cut that 6 times. And I'm going to show you how to do the window frame first. So on one of these pieces, we're going to cut 2 strips 3/4 of an inch long. So the easiest, if you want to use a paper cutter, that is great. I'm just going to show you here with a ruler and pencil. Put a ruler there. We're going to mark it 3/4, and then we'll move it down again. Actually, I'll cut it from the other side. And we'll mark it at 3/4. I'm just going to use scissors to cut these. That's the beauty of a surf shack, is that, you know, nothing has to be perfect, right? Just kind of beachy, rustic. Alright, so we got our 2 pieces here at 3/4, and then on this other, we're going to cut these at 1 inch. I'm going to mark it, and then I'm going to turn it and mark it at 1 inch again. Oops. Okay, and then I'll use my scissors here again and just cut these. Alright, don't need the rest of that. So, we're going to take a 3/4 inch long piece and a little bit of glue. And on a 1 inch long piece, I'm going to put a little glue on one end. And then we're going to glue it to the 3/4 inch piece. I'm going to overlap just slightly on the top. So you have a little bit of the 3/4 inch piece that's on the top, and then this is overhanging here just a little bit. And then turn that over. You're going to add glue to the other side of that 1 inch piece, and we're going to glue it to the other 3/4 inch piece. So we're making a little rectangular window frame here. Okay, that's the beginning, and then we'll take our other 1 inch piece. I'm just going to put glue on both sides of it, and then we will glue it along the bottom of those 3/4 inch pieces. Okay, that is our window frame, and you'll make however many you want to do. I made 6 of them. Now we're going to take, this is cut from that pinkish coral colored cardstock for the shutters. I'm going to move this aside really quick here. I need a scoring board. So to make them look a little bit like shutters, we are going to score this piece on the back side, starting at the right past where that die cut hole is. We're going to score every 1/8 of an inch all the way down this piece. So you're going to do that for all 6 of these if you want that little hint of a shutter look there. Okay, on this, I am going to take my scissors, and on one end I'm going to cut just to the side of that score line. Just cut that rounded, you know, edge off there with the die cut hole, so you got a straight edge. And then I'm going to take my ruler again, and we want these 1/2 inch long. So I'm going to mark it with a pencil anyway, but it really just kind of comes right to the bottom of one of those score lines. So cut it there at 1/2, and that's 1 shutter. And then we'll measure again at 1/2 inch, which comes right below a score line again, and cut it. Okay. And then you should, hopefully, when you line them up side by side, the little, I'm going to have to take some more off of that. The score lines should line up pretty good. But again, if they don't, who cares, right? It is a surf shack. Okay, so we're just going to put some glue on these. I'm going to put it to the stitch sides of these pieces here. Well, actually on all 4 sides. I'm going to bring in some tweezers here because this is getting sticky. And we're going to glue to one side. I'm overlapping that 3/4 inch piece a little bit more than half, so we can fit both of these on there. And try to use a positionable liquid adhesive that you can kind of move around if you don't get it lined up exactly, which I rarely do first try. Okay. And get that on there, like that. Okay, so that is your little shuttered window. And we are going to glue them now to the surf shack. So I'm just going to, use liquid adhesive on the window frame portion here. That ought to hold it. And I'm going to put one on each side of my door, right about there. And then we'll put the other one on there. Okay, and then wherever you want your windows, I'm going to finish that up. I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, so I've got the 2 on the front, I've put 1 on the side, 2 on the back, 1 on this side. And now we can add some little sand pieces along the bottom here. So I am using the Chimney Die and this little snowdrift die right here, because you can also use it for sand. So I've die cut it, let's see, 7 times. Let me just count really quick. From craft cardstock, yeah, I've die cut it 7 times. What I've done here, you could die cut this from white cardstock and color them with markers if you want, or ink them. What I've done is I've heat embossed them with this Hero Arts sand embossing powder. I just got it recently and I thought it would be fun to see what it looked like, and I liked it. So I can show you that really quick if you like, if you're not familiar with heat embossing. Okay, so I've got a Versamark ink pad here. Super easy. Just take your die cut, mash it into the Versamark ink. Got a scrap piece of paper here to collect the extra sand. This one's a little weird. It's got some big chunky pieces that want to come out first and some finer stuff, so I'm going to mess around with it here. Alright, well, this one's going to have a lot of the chunky pieces on it, but spread that on there, tap some off, put the excess away, and then we just heat emboss it. Okay, sorry about the noise. That gives it kind of a cool, I don't know if you can see that really good. Whoops, this way. It's like a bronzy look to it. And yeah, it looks like sand. So we are going to add these now along the bottom of our surf shack. So I am going to use liquid glue again. I don't want to cover up the door, but I thought it would be fun to have some sand along the sides. So I'm going to take one of them and glue it right along the bottom here and right up to the door. And I am kind of overlapping the bottom, and what happens is once you put them all the way around, the box actually just kind of rests on the bottom of that. So it doesn't matter if you overlap the bottom, is what I'm saying, trying to say. Alright, so same that I did with the wood planks. I'm going to turn it, I've got a glue mess here. Take some scissors and cut right along the edge of the box. Okay, and you've got your first one there. And then I'm just going to keep adding them. Some of them I'm going to overlap here. So this one. Alright, now all that we have left is our little stamped colored images and a few palm trees if you want to add those. So I will show you really quick what I have used. For the palm trees, I've used the island die, and here are my colored palm trees. I die cut this from white cardstock, and then I've colored them with Copics. For one of them, I'm going to place on the back of the house, of the shack. The other one is kind of hanging off the side of the front, as I've got it. Let me show you here. Hanging off that side. So it's visible from the back. So what I did was I colored another one and glued it to the back side so that it would still look, you know, you wouldn't have the white of the cardstock. And in order to do that, I ended up cutting this, die cutting this 3 times from white cardstock. And then I colored the reverse, colored this one. Wait, which one is it? It was this one on the right side, and then on the other one I colored it on the back side and then glued them together. And that is a tutorial for another day. So here are my palm trees, and I will go ahead and glue those on actually. So since I'm hanging this one off, let me put this down here. I'm going to have this one partially hanging off the side. I'm just going to put glue on the trunk. I was lost for words. The trunk, and then some of these palm fronds on this side. And I think that might be enough. And maybe a little on here. Okay. Then I'm going to just place it up on the sand. I think I want it right there. And we'll glue that down. Okay, and then on the back, hope you can see that good. On the back, I'm going to have my palm tree kind of over that window. I gotta get my tweezers again. His fingers are getting sticky. Okay, we are going to slide it up under our thatch roof and glue that down. Okay, for the stamps that I use, like I mentioned in the beginning, I use the Stay Cool stamp set, and not only are they perfect for a surf shack, but they're perfect size for this little box. So I used the little bear with the surfboard, colored him up again. Then I've got the penguin with the anchor. Let me show you really quick. I've used the Life Preserver, comes from this stamp. I stamped this in a very light gray ink so that the little paw there, you can't see the paw. And then I just cut through the center there, so that is how I did that. On the beach ball, there's paws holding the beach ball. You can see the little bunny here is holding the beach ball. And you can see here I left those paws, I just didn't color them because I'm going to cover them with a shell. And I've colored 3 of those. And a starfish. And I have colored 2 of those. So I'm just going to finish this up and glue these down really quick. For my bear here, I'm going to use dimensional foam adhesive and just to pop him up a little bit. Okay, and then glue him over here. Okay, and there we have it. And get you a better look here at all the sides again. Okay, I hope that you've had fun. I hope you give this a try. And it's so much fun to make. And thanks so much for watching. I hope to be back with more tutorials like this. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.